Mike, today we're talking about co-created episode 39, Facilitation in Action, Digital Storytelling Training Meets Advocacy with Katlyn Lamont. At the time that we recorded that podcast in May of 2025, she was a brand new Common Language facilitator. What resonated for you in that conversation?
Yeah, well, it was great hearing her reflect on her training experience. It's just candid feedback about what it was like for her to learn how to make a digital story. And as she was doing that, I sort of realized, I really like her. She's awesome. Like a clinical counselor, integrating digital storytelling into her work with youth. I think it's just fabulous, right? And just the way that she comes across and presents herself and stuff like that. It's very approachable. So I think she's got a bright future as a counselor. She's got the right temperament, personality. She's going to be amazing at it. But I also really love to hear just sort of, I would say, one of my big takeaways was this idea of bringing people closer together. And there's a couple ways that Katlyn experienced that. First of all, in the training itself, right? She said it was her team, right? Her team at Alternatives for Youth. There was 5 of them, and then someone from a St. Joe's hospital, and she said it sort of helped bring them closer together as a team. And I love that idea, right? About how you can actually you don't often have this unstructured time to really get to know each other, right? And to tell stories that matter to you, and so they all got to know each other's stories. They got to watch them. They got to create them together. But then we also got to have all these wonderful conversations about the work that they do together. And I saw that happen in the training. They were like, oh, I didn't know that happened, or someone would say, yeah, and I was speaking with a client the other day and this happened. They were like, oh, really? Like, so they were literally gleaning knowledge and wisdom from each other when it comes to their clinical practice during the training about digital storytelling. So it's just bringing people closer together, bringing their team closer together. So I love that. And then also the way that she talked about the story she created and how it brought her closer together with her band. And she has this beautiful part where she talks about they put on the digital story in a dark hall, and her story is about her band, her military band that she volunteers with. And afterwards, the leader of the band, who's a military veteran, a very stoic guy, comes up to her crying and saying, this is everything we've tried to communicate, and you've just done it in 4 minutes. How is this possible? And I just love that idea that it brought their band close. A story brought their band closer together in a very difficult time for their band, right? They were getting kicked out of their meeting hall and stuff. It was just a lot of strife going on. And yet she turns on the lights and there's all these military veterans in tears, and to me, I'm just like, man, that band is, they were tight already, but they will be friends for life after they go through an experience like that together. And Katlyn really brought that beautiful experience to the band members. And so, digital stories, yes, they can be changed, they can educate, they can be advocacy tools, that you can use them in research, but really, I would say, it's awesome to think about how they bring people together, right? In lots of different ways. So, yeah.
Well, and it was really neat. So Common Language has a collective. And so anybody that's been trained with us that continues to kind of work with the collective meets regularly for these mentorship meetings. And just last week, Katlyn came on and was just kind of filling us in on what's happened since then. And that's another piece that I love about our collective, that I heard these stories about Katlyn when she was first doing her training. And now 6 months later, where's the work at? And in a year, what will be happening, and how that changes for people as they figure out how it fits into their roles that they're working in, as well as just for personal storytelling. So that was really neat to get to hear from Katlyn as well.
And she's working on stories with her clients right now. Multiple people at AY are creating digital stories as part of their clinical counseling. I'm just like, man, good for you. Good way to make it happen, right? So, yeah.
So we'll have to bring Katlyn back on in a while and have her kind of tell us what's happened since then. So, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and talking about what you're thinking. This was about episode 39, Facilitation in Action, DST Training Meets Advocacy with Katlyn Lamont. You can listen to the podcast. You can find all the links, watch the story through the show notes below.